everyone, welcome back to Build. I'm your host, Brittany Jones Cooper, and today I'm sitting down with Anna Camp. From True Blood to Pitch Perfect, Camp is always a joy to watch, and it's no different in her new show, Perfect Harmony. The NBC comedy follows a music professor from the East Coast who tries to help a small town choir find their voice. Take a look.
That was quite a bender you were on, Art.
How do you know my name?
Arthur Cochran, chair of Princeton's music department.
I am retired.
Oh, yeah!
We're getting ready for a choir competition. We need your help.
Matthew McConaughey, you don't need to puff out your chest like you're signaling your wife you're ready to mate. You slouch. It's caused by fear of confrontation, which is why you stayed married to a man who let a snake loose in the house.
Did you read my diary?
I wrote it. You can't stop staring at her. Why don't you ask her out?
If I'm not honest with my feelings, I won't be honest with my music.
What's Eat Me D?
Life is short. Let's use this precious time to make some beautiful music. You're singing the wrong part. You're an alto.
I've never sung alto.
Things change as women get older.
The you say?
Put your hands together for Anna Camp.
Hi, guys.
I can't help but to laugh at that trailer. It's so good.
It's really funny,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, no, and everybody is super good and so perfectly cast. It's awesome.
The show is so much fun. I watched the first 4 episodes, and what I love about these like comedies is you just you can binge them so easily. I wanted more. But my first question, when I was watching it, was, did you even have to audition for this? It just seems like a real perfect kind of fit.
Oh, well, thanks. Yeah, you know what? I actually just had to do a chemistry read with Bradley Whitford. They were like, hey, so there's this awesome new show. There's singing, there's dancing. You get to use your real Southern accent, and it's starring like the most amazingly talented Emmy, 3-time Emmy Award winning now Bradley Whitford, and I was like, yeah, definitely sign me up. So yeah, it turned out okay.
What was that chemistry read like?
Well, this is really funny. You know, I was running really late to the audition. My car was in the shop, and it was raining in LA, which is something that never happens. And I had to call an Uber, and then the Uber driver was really old. So I was literally like freaking out on the way there, being like, they're gonna think I'm late all the time. Of course this happens on the job that I want like the most out of everything. And I show up and I'm like wet and late and whatever, and it went really, really well. So that's good. But I was like definitely really, really stressed out.
You said this is a job that you really wanted. So what was it about the script or the project in general that just really was something that you wanted to dig your teeth into?
Well, obviously, I do love to sing, and I'm from South Carolina originally, so I enjoy like leaning into my original Southern accent, which is super fun, even though this takes place in Kentucky. But I really enjoyed the fact that these characters were going through some hard times in their lives, and this is a comedy, but we weren't afraid to embrace that aspect of it. Like Bradley's character has just lost his wife at the beginning of the show. My character is going through a divorce. She's a single mom, and there's a lot of question marks in everybody's lives. So I felt like it was super grounded on top of the fact that it was just really well written and really, really funny. And there's like some edge that you get to see later on in the character that, you know, she's trying to present this really perfect image of herself, of this perfect Southern woman. And Bradley's character really inspires her to let that sort of brassy, spitfire, darker side of her out. And you get to see that throughout the season. So it's pretty exciting.
Do you relate to Ginni at all? Or are there any kind of characteristics that you share?
Who, me? No. I'm not from the South and trying to put on a perfect, no. No, definitely. There's a lot that I relate to about her. You know, I grew up in a place where you didn't really embrace that darker side of your personality, and you wanted to present this very perfect image, and I think that's what she wants to do too. And the older I get, the more I realize that, like, just be yourself, and those darker, more, you know, serious and intense sides of your personality are really what makes you who you are. And that's when people really get to know you, is when you let those out. And I think that that's something that Ginni is going through right now.
Isn't that such a relief when you realize that? When you're like in your 30s or whenever it happens for you, hopefully it's sooner, but when you're just like, why am I trying to be nice all the time? Why can't I just be, you can be respectful, but you can also like say no sometimes, or like do what's best for you.
Yeah, and I just turned 37, and I feel like just recently I've started to feel that feeling, because there's a lot of pressure and there's a lot of stress that goes into wanting to people please all of the time, and kind of I would get home from work and I would be like, did I do anything for myself myself today, and that feeling is gotten less and less the older I get, because you only get this life once, and you only get this day once, and you only get that day on set or whatever it may be once. And so to really take control of that and to embrace finding your own voice is something that my character and I are both going through at the same time, which has been really cool to play.
Yeah. Does that help you approach characters differently than maybe you would have at the beginning of your career, just sort of this confidence you have now as Anna?
Absolutely. That's an awesome question. I mean, when you first graduate college and you want to be an actor, you come out to New York or LA or wherever you go, and you just want to get work, and you just want to not mess up, right, when you're there. And that's kind of all that you're thinking about. And then as my career has gone on, I've realized, like, I can say no to things. I can say, no, I don't want to say a line like that, or I don't want to wear this awful outfit with a skirt that's like up my butt or whatever. You can start to say no more, and the power of that no has given me confidence to really kind of tailor make my career to a place that I am proud of it. But definitely in the beginning, I've learned a lot since I graduated school and came up to 189th and St. Nick's, and that was my first apartment here.
Washington Heights?
Yes, it was. And Queens, and then I lived in Queens. But yeah, it's been like a journey of learning, which has been really, hard, but also great. Yeah.
And I have so many more questions on that front, because I was looking at your IMDb and I was like, does she sleep?
No.
But we'll get more to that later. I want to talk about Ginni's accent, because you mentioned you're from South Carolina. This takes place in Kentucky, but you do get to have this accent, which is really great. So has that always been in you, or like, how did you come up with this one?
Yeah, well, I was fortunate enough I got to use my Southern accent on True Blood, which is a job that I had a long time ago. But my parents still talk like this all the time, and I get off the phone with them, and I end up talking like that too. And I get to, sort of make this a little more Kentucky, a little more country, a little more like twang. But I slip back into it, all the time. And now, I mean, the whole cast, we walk around set, and Bradley Whitford is not even from the South, but he ends up talking like that too. He has this weird character that he plays called Pappy when he gets really tired, and he starts talking like this. He's like, Pappy's tired, he needs a nap. And we all start doing it. So yeah, it's really fun, and I love doing it. And I love being from the South.
Yeah. Are you one of those women who, like, if you have like a drink or two, then your Southern accent comes out? I have a few friends who are from the South, and it's like 2 tequila shots, and all of a sudden.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll be like, hey y'all, what's happening? I love a good sweet tea vodka moment, like a little Firefly. Definitely will get my Southern accent out.
Firefly.
Yeah, that's what
Woof.
well, you have to mix it. You have to mix it with something. You can't drink it straight. I learned that the hard way.
I was gonna say, I think I've only had it straight, and it ruined my life.
Yeah, don't do
so yeah, don't do that, kids. Don't drink. Go to college or something. I don't know. What is it like on set though? Because you mentioned this cast is so dynamic, so many just truly funny people, and super diverse.
Yeah.
So what is it like on set? What do you guys kind of do to wind down?
It's really, really great. I mean, we do have a very diverse cast, which is fantastic. And everybody, they're incredible singers also, and you get to see their talent throughout the show. We are laughing all the time. And I think that's mainly because Bradley Whitford's, he's like, the lead of the show, and he really sets the tone for, we're not afraid to mess up, and we're not afraid to make jokes that sometimes don't work out, but I think that leaves the window open for like really magical things to happen on set when you're unafraid of failing in front of your castmates. We don't operate under like any fear on set. We've had some amazing guest stars come through, and everyone has been like, I love working on this show because I feel so non-judged and free to just improv and be crazy and unafraid to mess up. So it's really just lovely. And we hope that transpires on screen.
I mean, it does. It is a pure comedy show down to like the physical comedy. Like in every episode, somebody's covered in something, whether it's like mud or tomato juice or pie.
Or pie. Yeah, definitely. We were making jokes with Bradley because he's covered in with stuff all the time, and he's like an executive producer on the show, and we're like, did you ask them to do this? Is
You
this
have some
sort of,
say.
like, dream of yours, or do you not want this to happen? Because it's definitely happening all the time. Oh yeah, I mean, the writers are just adding the craziest things. I like have a whole Thanksgiving episode that we just shot where I'm trying to impress a guy, and I completely fall and break an entire cabinet worth of china, and I'm like on the ground. I mean, it's like there's a lot of physical comedy. There's a lot of heart. There's a lot of humor, and I feel like the writers are doing a great job of putting us in like the most insane situations that we've ever been in.
Episode 2, you're just like in a pie Fully covered.
Yes.
How many times did you have to eat that pie? How long did that take?
We shot that for a while that day, to be honest. And I thought they were gonna have like whipped cream all over the pie because that would have been like easier to kind of like fake. But no, we had like blueberry, right in the way. And the little Spencer Alport, who plays my son on the show, he actually like ate like all of the pies, and we were like, you don't actually have to like eat everything, and he was like, I'm so sick. No, but it was really, really cute. And the thing about that stuff is you can't be afraid to get messy on our show, because if you're worried about how your hair looks or how your makeup looks, if you're gonna mess it up, then you are not doing the scene the proper service. So I didn't care. I was like, let's go for it.
I also have to ask, there was a hunting episode and you are from the South. Do you hunt? Have you hunted?
Oh God, no. I'm not, and I have family members that do, and there's, if that's your thing, that's your thing. But I am a real avid animal lover. I see my dog's soul in like every animal that I meet. Like if I saw a deer or something, I'd be like, that's like my dog, Rocky. Like I could never kill anything ever. No, not
Bambi.
Not my
It's
thing.
Bambi.
It's Bambi.
How do you
It's
kill
like,
Bambi?
I can't do it. So no. I definitely don't want to ever hunt.
I grew up in the Midwest as well,
Okay.
and everybody hunted, but I was just like, I support you, but I'm just gonna.
It's so pretty. Let
I
it
know.
live. It's like eating. It's like let it do
it's
its thing.
so
What do we-
hard.
Yeah.
Is it fun for you though to get to represent a Southern woman on screen too? I would think like being a Southern woman, there's so many like weird representations of people from the Midwest. I know I get defensive.
Oh, yeah.
Southerners. Like, is it fun for you to get to like step into that role?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think there's a lot of misconceptions about Southerners, and I think that they have been portrayed, not as the most smart people. And we just heard from actually the town in Kentucky that's watching our show that's really supportive of it and thinks that we're doing a great job in painting Southerners in a wonderful light. I mean, there are certain limitations that come with being in a small town, and we get that, but we're not saying these people are very smart people. Like Ginni is very smart. She is totally driven, and there's a lot going on underneath, what she's portraying.
And was it Adams? Is that her name?
Adams, yes, Timberly Hill. She's so good. She's so
funny.
She cracks me
She's
up.
like a businesswoman who owns like
She literally
the town.
owns the entire town and she may or may not have an ex-husband who she murdered.
I think she murdered him.
See, that's the
I think
question.
if you
We
have
don't
to
know.
ask, you know
Right?
the answer.
There's something going on there that we'll get to see later on. So I kind of know some answers, but I can't say anything.
There's so much singing in this show, and obviously we know and love you from Pitch Perfect. Was that a draw for you, or something that you were sort of wary of? Like, do I want to be in another thing that's associated with singing?
I love to sing. I don't think I would have taken
So,
it
no,
if I was
yeah.
like, I don't ever want to sing again. I would like, no, I love it. I mean, it was my first job that I ever had in New York was this off-Broadway musical that you've never heard of at the Rattlestick Playwrights Theater where I got to sing. And yeah, no, it's something that I embrace doing. I think that our show has a really great tone also. We don't lean into the cheesy or the campy. It's really grounded. And I think that musicals, you have to be careful about that line, whether or not to cross it. And I think that our show is doing a really good job at balancing that.
Absolutely. It's not Glee. No shade to Glee, but
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are like, oh, it's totally different. There's so much more story and heart, and you get a lot more like, I don't know. Singing is like a nice addition to it, but it's not
Yeah,
just
it's
the
not
whole
like
thing.
a competition
Yeah.
show, which is cool. Like my character sang at an open mic night in an episode, and then we have some of the characters singing at karaoke. So we're incorporating music in different ways each episode. It's not like we're always like competing or something.
What's a song that you would never sing at karaoke?
Never sing.
Never sing. Like you're like, I'm not touching
Oh
that.
my God. I mean, I don't think that I could sing like, oh my gosh. Well, I tried to sing a song the other day at karaoke that I failed miserably. I tried to sing Ariana Grande, Breathe, because I love that song, and dang, that's high. Dang, it's high, and it's really fast, and I am really regretful.
The
I'll
lyrics
never
are
do that again.
super easy to remember though.
They are, and I'll sing it in my car, but like, no way would I ever try to sing that at karaoke again.
What song do you blast in your car and sing to?
What have I recently been listening to? Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm just thinking about Dolly Parton songs that I got to sing in the show that I blasted because I had to learn them while I was driving to and from work every day. I'm a big like Casey Musgraves fan. I'm a big, I like some country, yeah. So I guess the last thing was like a Dolly Parton song.
And your character, you mentioned she does an open mic night and she has an alter ego to sort of like get through it.
Yeah.
Do you ever have those moments, even though you're a seasoned performer at this point, where you kind of need to like put on a alter ego to go do a performance?
Always.
Really?
Well, I hate taking photos. I hate like red carpet stuff. I hate having to do photo shoots. Like we just had to do it. You just get very like, oh my God, everyone's like looking at you, right? But I was a big America's Next Top Model fan when that show was on. So I just kind of programmed myself. I was like, Anna, just pretend that like Tyra is right there and that you're one of those models. And lo and behold, I just like did it and I was like doing all the moves. Photos came out okay. So now I decided that's what I'm gonna do every time there's a photo shoot is I pretend to be on America's Next Top Model. Now everyone knows my secret.
I do that too.
Okay.
I really do, because
Helpful.
I really feel like she helped a whole generation of women feel more confident in front of.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll be like, oh, my arm looks, you have to lengthen your arm, and I'm constantly like doing all these things.
Move,
Yeah.
constantly
It's like
move.
point your toe, and it's like my toes aren't even in it, but they're pointed.
If there's a
because Tyra
fan in
said
the
it.
room, tell them to point it at you and like just turn it up really high and get your Beyonce on.
I'm telling you, I interviewed Tyra once, and I've never smized so hard.
You're
I was like
smizing.
trying to, I knew I had to bring
And it was working. I'm sure she loved it.
It was okay. I mean, I think I could have like squinted a little more, but I just needed her to
Hey,
know.
we're a work in progress. You know, we
Always.
always are.
Yeah, we really are.
Yes.
So I mentioned your IMDb earlier. I was just looking at kind of all of your credits, and you have like 4 things in post-production, and you have this show.
Mm-hmm.
So what is it that you look for in roles right now? Because there's so much coming to you. So how do you pick?
I want to make sure that things are varied. You know, I know that people can get really typecast. I've been a victim of typecasting in this industry and that's a compliment also because people think, oh, you are good at that. So I'm going to want you to do that again, just like in a slightly different way. And I'm definitely looking at doing something a lot darker for my next project. And I have something like that's kind of bubbling in the works that's a really creepy, dark indie film. And there's another film that's coming out called Here a While. And that's something that I had to like dye my hair for. And I'm playing like a woman who's dying of cancer. And it's just, I try to mix it up as much as I possibly can, but in order to make a living in this business, you do need to, you know, do what you are good at. And I'm very fortunate just to be working, I feel like, in the industry right now. So I'm trying to kind of tailor it, but I'm also, you know, I know what people like to see me do also. So it's a balance.
Yeah. Do you feel like people sometimes don't take you seriously then? Or what is the thing you sort of feel like you have to push against?
I think that I'm just when people are like pitch perfect, and like now you're, you know, singing again, like just like you asked that kind of question, and it's like, yes, they're very different projects. They happen to have the word perfect in the title. I didn't pick that. You know, I went into the project it wasn't even called Perfect Harmony actually.
Like,
when
guys,
I, like,
do me a
first
solid, rename the show. I mean,
it's like, and I'm the least perfect person in the world, so that has nothing to do with me. But there's fighting against. I think people do take me seriously, but there is like fighting against that stereotype. In each project that I do, I am looking for that thing that will show me in a different light. So yeah, we'll see. Only time will tell if that continues to happen in my career.
yeah, I mean, I've seen you in dramas, I've seen you in comedy, so I see your versatility. But yeah, going real dark could be interesting.
Shaving my head this afternoon. No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, do you want me to do it?
Can you?
Let's do it live on the internet.
We'll do it live.
Let's go viral.
Yeah.
Let's not.
No, let's not.
On that note, is there any more theater in your future?
Oh, I hope
Yeah.
so. I mean, just coming back to New York and just driving around, you know, getting here. I never thought I would ever do TV and film, to be honest. Thought I would be broke and happy doing theater for my whole life. But I would die to come back and do a play or a musical, whatever it may be, because it's truly where my heart lies, I think, is on stage, because there's nothing like that live feeling that you get in front of a live studio audience.
So as a kid, what drew you to acting was theater?
Absolutely, yeah. I remember being a really little kid. I started taking acting classes in 2nd grade. And I just kind of knew I wanted to tell stories, and whether it was to make to move someone emotionally, to make someone laugh. I think that I'm want to be a storyteller and an actor. You know, we're all in this to make everybody know that they're not alone, and that we do experience, you know, the same things, and that we, you know, it's this human thing that we all want to have a catharsis when we watch someone, whether it is laugh or cry. So I think that's definitely something I felt at a really young age.
And not to do the obvious tie-in, but that's sort of what this show does. It's sort of
Mm-hmm.
like bringing all that together, where you have all these different personalities, all these different people who come together, and like you said, they're all sort of battling their own stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
in a time where everything is so divisive, it is nice to just see all these different groups of people come
Thanks.
together.
Yeah, I think so too. It's like you would never really see these people hanging out together, and this church choir has kind of become my character's surrogate family because she is a single mom, and I think that everybody realizes just how much they need each other, even if they bust each other's balls all the time, which we do on the show, and backstage. But there is something at the end of each episode you see that we are using music to come together, and that we have, you know, different perceptions of each other. Like Arthur thinks that we're, you know, not so smart Kentucky backwoods people, and we're like, well, you're this snooty, you know, highfalutin professor of music, when really we're shattering those misconceptions of each other. And hopefully that will translate to the audiences who do get to watch this, to, like, you know, don't judge people just by what you think of them when you first meet them or what you've heard about them, but take the time to get to know them and to work with them, and then you realize, you know, you can learn more about yourself also.
And I hope it's a learning moment for a lot of people. Like if they didn't know what a bar mitzvah was, the show clarifies that in a really funny way.
In a really
I love
funny
that
way.
joke.
Yes, Will Greenberg plays my ex-husband, and he's like a bar mitzvah, and like there's a whole thing, and it's like
I was like, that is a smart and really funny joke.
Right?
It's full of those guys.
little one-liners.
Yes. We do have a question or two before we get out of here.
Oh, great.
Who do we have first back there?
Hi, how's it going? So, I noticed in your comedic performances, you have a lot of like very prominent heightened features, and I was wondering what the difference is performing that in a comedy that otherwise is more grounded versus a comedy with like, I guess my first thought is Kimmy Schmidt.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
like,
Deirdre.
yeah, which like for a character that stands out in a world that bonker, like the I have a constant GIF in rotation of just your screaming in elation to sobbing. I'm just curious what the difference is of playing in a world that's more grounded versus one that's equally as heightened.
Oh, that's a great question. I think it definitely in that case on Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, I mean, that is such a heightened world. The key to really success, I think, for me was just to commit. And to commit like with all cylinders, like turned way up kind of thing. And just tell the director, whoever was on set, like, pull me back. You know what I mean? It's easier to get pulled back than it is to get like stuff pulled out of an actor, I always feel like. So I'd rather go too far and have someone pull me back. And for something like Perfect Harmony, it's still kind of a heightened world, but obviously not as heightened. So it's all about sort of knowing what world you're living in and knowing the tone of it, but always committing to truth. That's my main goal. Whatever the truth of the world is that you're living in, commit to that truth and never apologize for it. Like I never went into playing Deirdre apologetic. Like she was big, she was crazy, and that's what I was gonna do. You know. I hope that answers your question.
What was the script like for Kimmy? Like, obviously it's written, but how much of it were they like throwing lines at you, or was it improv? Because it moves so fast, and there's just like joke after joke after joke. So I would imagine that it's sort of like more fluid.
It's really fluid. I mean, Tina Fey was on set, especially for the first episode, and she'd be like, "Go bigger, like go harder," and I'd be like, "Oh my God, really? Well, Tina Fey's yelling at me to go bigger. Of course I will." Yeah, and they would also give new lines all the time and try out new jokes, and just getting to work with Jane Krakowski was such a dream. That our chemistry, I felt like, was really, you know, on point, and we were just going and trying to top each other, and like I think it went places that they didn't even realize it was gonna go on the script. Like it didn't say that we were gonna almost make out in that scene. It never said that, but we organically just like got to that place, which was like very exciting and fun to see.
There was so much tension between those two
So much
characters.
tension. Oh my God.
It actually was really fitting.
Yeah, I loved working with her. It was one of my favorite jobs ever.
Thank you for your question. That was really good. Next one.
Hi. I'm wondering, you've worked in so many different genres, and you've done TV and film and theater, and I'm wondering if you have a dream scene partner for pretty much anything, TV, film, or whatever.
Oh my gosh, that's a wonderful, wonderful question. I feel like I kind of have two. dream scene partners. I mean, the really obvious one is like, I mean, what would I do if I was ever on set with Meryl Streep, right? We've heard of her. I think that would be like the most incredible, amazing time ever, and I would just be in awe and learn so much. And then I'm a huge fan. I've always been a huge fan of Paul Rudd. I think his comedy is just on point, and he's so funny. And I've watched I Love You Man like countless times, and then you watch him when he was in Clueless or something, and then you see him in Romeo and Juliet, and like it was like Paul Rudd before he was like unleashed Paul Rudd, right? So just to like watch his career and see like how much more comfortable and confident he got throughout his comedy career is just inspiring to me, and I just feel like he would be a blast to work with.
That's a good choice. He makes it look so easy.
Yeah.
You think like, oh, that's just like, no, he's really that comedic genius, but it's so
Yeah.
effortless.
It's exactly right. I think that's something that I always want to. I don't want people to ever think that I'm like working hard, right? We don't want to see an actor who's like overworking. You want to see them just living their life and breathing and being fun and letting it all come naturally. So. Yeah.
I could see him on Perfect Harmony as a love interest or
so
as a
fun.
competing choir director. I mean, there's
So fun.
Paul, there's so many
Paul
opportunities for
Rudd,
you
come on our show.
to work with Anna
We
Camp.
could die.
Guys, make sure you check out this show. Perfect Harmony airs Thursdays at 8:30, 7:30 Central on NBC. Put your hands together for Anna Camp.
Guys.